Yeah, I'm a couple of minutes early as well.
I just had to go and reload all my afternoon crossfires because I realised I don't know how I did it, but I'd accidentally saved my morning set as my afternoon set as well.
All right.
So I had to go about 1:45. I had to go and quickly reload them all, and I hope I've done it all right. I think I have.
Okay. So, um, where are we now? Okay, back to Zoom. And Curtis is just jumping on. Suppose I should wait until 1 o'clock before I start. Right, Curtis. I'll just give it one more minute and I'll get started. Share my screen. Just, well, yesterday I did some videos on how to load the training assistant, download the training assistant and transfer it across to MP4. I did one on the strategy itself and I did a third one on the settings. I need to do one more. Hi, Gary. I need to do one more, and that's on how to get all the charts on one screen and how to arrange them and how to get them to look at the same and so on. And so I'll probably do that tomorrow. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 of us on. I'm going to get cracking. So welcome to Crossfire. It's 1 p.m. UK time, 8 a.m. New York time. We are looking. I'm just going to look at one pair in particular in a minute. And basically, we don't take any trades until quarter past. So this green line here indicates quarter past 1. It actually says on there, if you hover, it says on my screen 12:15. That's because my broker that I'm using today is actually 1 hour behind the UK. So where you see 12, just read it as 1:15, and that's 1 o'clock. So the trading assistant automatically puts those lines on. You don't have to place them yourself. And the next thing it does automatically, it waits until quarter past and it looks at the gap between the 1 o'clock and the quarter past 1, and it looks for the highest point and the lowest point. And let's say that was the highest point on that red candle, it would look left to the nearest high, or even if that was if that was the highest point, it would look left for the nearest high, and it would go up to the top of that candle, and it would draw the trend line down in that direction and on. I forget specifically how far it goes on, but I think it probably goes till about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I'll ask for it to go to the full length of the session. And if it was looking for the lowest point, it would look at the bottom of that candle, or maybe the bottom of that, because I've got the Heiken Ashi candles on at the same time. It looks for the lowest point, and then it looks left for the nearest low, and then it draws the trend line. So we have to wait until quarter past for those lines to draw. But the good thing is they're drawn on all 4 charts instantly as soon as we get to quarter past. So that saves us a job. And I'm just going to move that panel out the way. So I'm just going to run through what I'm looking at on my screen and try and explain what the strategy is all about. So the easiest way to do that is to change the candles to a line chart, and then you can differentiate between the actual price. So the actual price right now is at the top of that line there, and differentiate between that and these green, I guess they are candles, yes, they're called smooth Heiken-Ashi candles, and they smooth out the fluctuations in price. So the actual price is up and down, up and down, up and down. These are actually the smoothed out version. They're calculated differently to the ordinary candles. And then you can see that those candles earlier were red and descending, and then at that point they changed to green and now ascending. So one of the things we look for, well, I better talk about the trend lines first. The trend lines are quite important to the strategy because basically we look for price to either be above the green trend line or to be below the red trend line. If price is in between the two trend lines, we don't take a trade. The trading system will never take a trade in those circumstances. So that's the first criteria we look for. Is price above the green trend line or below the red trend line? That determines whether we start looking for a buy or a sell. If it's above the green trend line, we obviously look for a buy. If it's below the red trend line, we start looking for sells. Then the next thing we look at is, has there been a recent change of wave? Now, the wave occurred here, so the wave change occurred here, and that was at 11:38. So that's too far in the distance for my liking. I've got my trading assistant set to take that wave change into account if it happens within the last 20 candles. Now that's something that you can change in your settings if you feel it'd be better to have up to 30 candles, 25 candles, or perhaps even less than 20 candles. That's personal choice. I've sort of landed on 20 because it seems to work quite well. Once you've got, I'm guessing there are 38. It's now there's about 28 candles since that change occurred, and I think that sort of reduces the possibility or the probability of price continuing to go up. And you can see that as if it knew what I was going to say, prices now start to go down, and we've now got a red Heiken-Ashi candle. So I think that 20 candles is as far back as I need to look to get a confirmation. So that would be my second confirmation. The third confirmation is the crossover of the two moving averages. Now I've got a 200 moving average there, which is the white line, and I've got a 13 moving average, which is the yellow line. And the point at which they cross is what the trading assistant looks for. So it looks for the first two components that I've just described, and then it goes to look for a recent MA crossover. And if that crossover has occurred, and again in my settings, I've set it to look back 12 candles. So that crossover occurred on that candle there, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it would take that into account. So that's three components that we're looking at. And then the fourth and last component we look for is the Wada Atta. And this consists of three items. We've got the white line, which we call the explosion line. We've got an orange dashed line, which is called the dead zone line. And we've got the histogram, these colored bars. And what I want to see before I get into a trade is, if I'm getting in for a buy, I want to see the white line above the orange line, and I want it to be pointing away from the orange line, not as it is there pointing down back towards it. I want it pointing away. And then I'm looking for the histogram to be above the white line. And if we're looking for a buy, I want them to be dark green. If we're looking for a sell, I want them to be dark red. So here we've got a situation where the histogram bars are ascending up to that point, and then they start to descend. The same over here, we had a strong push downwards, so the explosion line was above the orange line, it was pointing away, and the histogram bars were above the explosion line, and they were dark red up until that point. Why is my chart moving? Anyway, and then they started to descend. So it will get you into a trade if you've got two consecutive either bright red or bright green histograms, and the explosion line moving away, and the histograms above the explosion line. So there's certain criteria that the water atta follows. I haven't altered any of those criteria. We've simply got Oliver to write the code for this water atta so that it works on MT5. It was designed for MT4. We've simply changed it. Now the thing is, can you see right now we can't get in the trade because we haven't got to the 115 point. But can you see that the water atta is saying that I could be getting in for a sell? It's changed. It was saying no trade over on the left hand panel. It's now saying short, so it's confirming a sell. But that on its own is not enough. What we look for is all four criteria to be satisfied. So whether you talk about 4 boxes ticked or 4 ducks in a row, or however you want to put it, you need all 4 criteria to be satisfied. Now, we've still got 5 minutes because we got started fairly early. I'm just going to go through the other things that I can see on my screen. Something that people new to the trading assistant struggle with is they say, "Oh, my trading assistant isn't taking any trades," and that is down to one of two things. This hat in the very top right-hand corner on my chart is blue. If you look at your chart and you see that it's white, you need to rectify that. And there's two things that it can cause that. One is, if I just move that out of the way. Just trying to move that out of the way, and it's gone. There we go. So on this panel here where it says algo trading, I've got a green point, a green arrow. That confirms that I've got the algo trading switched on. If I click on that, it'll change to red, and the blue arrow, sorry, the blue hat changed to a white hat. So it's not going to take any trades from it. So the first criteria you need to look for is that green confirming or changing the hat from white to blue. The other thing that it might be, if that's okay and it's still white, the only other possibility could be, let me just, if I look at my expert list and I go to the properties, these are the settings, and I've sort of clarified now my standard setting, what goes into the sets, and I've created separate sets for different pairs and different sessions, but I'll go into that in a minute. These are the variables that you can change, but what you need to do is there's a tab with the word common on it, and if you click on that, if you look right down at the bottom, it says allow algo trading. So if that isn't ticked, if it isn't checked as it is now, you'll find that when you go to trade, that it will not take any trade. So that is the second thing you need to check. Once you've ticked that, you're good to go, and you can you can make your changes on the settings. But that's something that, whilst we've been testing, people have been panicking because they haven't had the trading assistant has been missing trades, and the reason has been that they haven't had the algo trading on switched on. We've still got a couple of minutes, so I'm going to go through a couple of other things that I'm looking at on my screen. I'm looking at the trade risk, and I've got mine set on all of the crossfire pairs. On all sessions, I risk 0.5% per pair, because remember we're in a position where we're looking at 4 pairs in the afternoon session. So if each of them goes wrong and I lose that trade, I'm in danger. I'm exposed to the danger of potentially losing 0.5% on each one, and that would mean a total of 2%. To me, that's as much as I want to risk. You can change that percentage if you wish. My personal preference is 0.5%. But the great thing is that the trading assistant calculates what that means in money terms. So it means 0.5% means I'm going to lose slightly under $500. But the other good thing that it does is it also calculates on the basis of my risk, and also on the basis of the number of pips I'm using as a stop loss. It calculates the lot size. So you can see that these 2 pairs on the right hand side of the screen, we're going for 17.04 lots, and on this side of the screen we're going for 16.66 on the euro, and on the GBP USD we're going for 12.49. And the difference is because on the euro USD my stop loss is 3 pips. On the GBP USD my stop loss is 4 pips. So I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to move that out of the way. If I can just move it up there. There we go. So we've now got the trend lines, and that's been done automatically by the trading assistant. So it's looked at if I put the candles back on, so that the very first candle, so the first candle, it's looked back to that candle at 1 o'clock. It's noticed that is the nearest higher candle, and on the lower candle, this was the low point within that 15-minute period. It's looked back and it found that is the nearest lower candle. You don't need to worry about that much now that the trading assistant does it automatically, but we used to get some confusion where people were looking back and finding the lowest low. So in that case, that would be down there, or it might even be lower if you look further back. But the great thing about a trading assistant is it draws those lines automatically. So now it will take a trade if those 4 criteria are satisfied, and it'll risk 0.5% on this trade, and it'll risk 0.5% on each of the other 3 trades. So, and I've got a risk to reward of 1 to 2. So I'm risking 0.5% to gain 1%. So my potential loss is 2% total, and my potential gain is 4%. Is that right? No, yes, 4%. 1% on each one. So if you're looking at the screen now, you'll see that actual price is above the green trend line. So over here, it says, I'm now looking for a buy signal. That's purely and simply because it's the price is above the green trend line. So we're only looking for buys. So the next thing it looks for is the Heikin-Ashi candles. And it looks for a recent wave change. So I'll change that to, so these are the Heikin-Ashi candles. Has there been a recent wave change? Well, the latest wave change was at 12:06. And the chart time is currently 12:12. 12:15. So that's 9 candles previously, but it's in the wrong direction. We're waiting for a wave change from down to up, from red to green. So we've got the trading assistant looking for buys, but it's waiting for the change, and it's just occurred there. We've now got a green Ikenashi wave candle. So in a minute, I think this candle has to close before it counts it. But when this candle closes, we'll have 2 confirmations that we should be looking for a buy. We then look for the 3rd confirmation, which is the moving average crossover. Sorry. So basically, we're looking for that yellow line to cross over that white line. So it's heading in the right direction. Price is about to cross over the 200. But what we need is for this yellow moving average to also cross over. And then we'll have 3 confirmations that we should be looking for a buy. And then we look down here for the 4th confirmation, and that's telling us no way. We're not getting it. It's telling me no trade over here. And that's because the explosion line is pointing downwards back into the dead zone, and B, because the histogram is really small. It is dark green, so that's telling me that the buyers are there are more buyers than sellers, but there are not enough buyers. We need that histogram to be above the explosion line, and for the explosion line to be pointing upwards. I'm going to put the candles back on, and you can see that prices I'm just trying to think of the right words to describe that. What I'm seeing is the price is rejecting off the 200 moving average. The 200 moving average, as with any line on your chart, offers potential resistance because we're looking at the market's made up of buyers and sellers, and basically buyers have been trying to push price up above the 200, and the sellers have said, no, we don't want it above the 200, we want it to go down. So there's a battle going on between the buyers and the sellers, and the point at which the line has been drawn happens to be the 200 moving average. So we're not going to get a buy signal for the trade assistant just yet on this pair. So what I'll do is I'll look at the other 3 pairs and see if I can spot anything else. By all means, if anybody's got any questions, just let me know. Okay, so
Richard, could I just ask a quick question? Were you looking at that one? Was that, sorry, my screen's very small. Was that Euro USD on the 1 minute you were looking at?
yes, 1 minute.
My green and red lines are totally different to yours.
All right. Oh, the trend lines.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, your green line is going semi-vertically. Mine's going flat straight off the top of the screen. It doesn't even seem to be touching the 1 o'clock candle or the 1:15 candle.
Okay.
Could we just look at your Euro USD again and just see if I can describe better what I've got?
Yeah, I'm just move that out of the way.
Or maybe you want to leave it to the end.
No, well, what I'm just trying to. You see, when I was going through that, I noticed that the 1 o'clock candle, which in my case is a 12 o'clock candle.
Yep.
It hadn't looked back. It's taken that as a higher. It didn't look back, and basically, from what I can see on that screen, it should have looked back and found that point was higher than that. So it should have looked way back.
I might say, okay, so mine's looking way back.
Okay.
It's looking back to effectively the next high, which is well before, it's off the left of your screen, I think. So it's making the line fairly horizontal.
Yes.
Yeah, that high, I think, is
Oh,
where mine is looking back to.
yeah. Okay. So we have a glitch.
I don't know
I
whether
didn't
it's me
notice,
or
but
something I've done.
it's gone. That is, if that's the 1 o'clock. Well, it is the 1 o'clock candle. It's calling itself a 12 o'clock, but that's because my broker's. There's a
Yeah.
weird thing going on with my broker. This is a Affinitive Markets account, demo account that I'm using, and for some strange reason, I'm having to set my start time to 12 o'clock just to coincide with them. But that shouldn't affect where the lines are drawn. So I need to raise this with Oliver and just see
Okay.
if there's a reason why. But I mean, had we both had the same green trend line, I would still have raised it with Oliver because I think it should look back, but it should automatically look. It should take that as a start point and then look left
Yeah.
for a high one, and it hasn't. It's taken that as a high point.
Okay. But mine has looked left. So, and my red line looks exactly the same as yours.
Yeah,
But my green one starts way to the left of the red one, so it's gone much further back.
I think yours is the
Okay.
correct one. Now, I wonder if it's something in the settings, but can we leave that until later?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
But thanks for pointing it out because I was a bit concerned when I looked at that, but I didn't want to disrupt the session because of
Sorry,
that.
so I disrupted it instead. I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
No, that's fine because it was just a worry in my mind, and you confirmed that I should have been worried. So, so that's something I need to pick out with or sort out with Oliver because that does make a big difference. Now, if we let me try and deal with. I know this isn't something that you want to be doing on your chart, but let's say that line should be something like there. I know it's going to be a red line, but that is probably more like your.
Can you hear me, Richard? Can you hear me now?
Now,
My mute wasn't working. Mine's exactly the same as yours, so
right,
I don't know if there's anything in the settings.
right. It could be something in the settings. It could be a glitch, but I'm going to go through the settings in a minute. However, if Helen, I think your green trend line will be more like that. That I've got a red trend line there, but I've just drawn it on. So I was going to use that as
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah.
okay. However, it's not going to be an issue because price has now gone below the red trend line. So we're now looking, or in a minute, will be when this candle closes, that will change to looking for a sell signal. It sometimes takes a minute to do that, but basically well on my chart we're in a situation where I'm below the red trend line, but I'm above the green trend line. So we do need to get that sorted out because it probably won't take a sell because of that green trend line. It believes that is a resistance when actually that is a resistance.
The leaders just actually got me into a sell a few minutes ago, and then it got me back out, saying it was on its way up. Now it's going back down again. So it got me out early on a wave change.
On Euro USD.
Yeah, on the radar. So it got me in for a sell, then it got me out, and now it's on its way back again after it's hit the 200.
Right, so it got you in round about here.
No, further across to the left, I think. Because I think it keep going across. What time, let me know what time it got me in. 13:10. It got me in.
Well,
Because it's the radar, see, not the crossfire one. It's the radar one that got me in.
Oh, radar. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, you see, we don't even start looking for trades until 13:15.
Yeah.
In the crossfire, it wouldn't have taken the trade anyway, because we have to wait. Well, the trading system has to wait until 1:15 to take any trade. So that's why
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing showing here. So we're actually in a situation where if the trend lines were drawn correctly, we would now be looking for a sell, because the green trend line would be in that area there. So we're below the green, and now we're below the red. So we should be looking for a sell. This is, I mean, anybody who's using the trading assistant to take the trades, and I mean, there's one guy who's just joined the group is leaving the trading assistant to do its thing, and he's off out to work, and he's just leaving it. And he wouldn't be able to do this, but what I can do here is, if this starts to go down, I can override, and I can just simply get into the sell. But I wouldn't. Well, I would go through the process. I would say, right, I'm below the red trend line, therefore I'm looking for sells. I have a recent wave change. It changed from green to red within the last few candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles. So that satisfies that criteria. But I wouldn't get in because the moving average crossover was way back there. And I believe that's more than my standard. So I'm saying wave change was there on that candle. I'll say that one. So 1209, it's now, so we'll read that as 1309. So that's 21 candles, but that is too far in the distant past for me to take that. The fourth component is the Wada Atta, and it's actually telling me no trade. There's a bit of fluctuation. The histogram bars were dark red, then they changed to pale, then they went dark, then they went to pale. They've moved down. So there's a bit of uncertainty going on right now. So I wouldn't get in for that first sell. I could override this the crossover if I was more convinced that this was going to be a sell. I'm going back to how I used to trade manually, and I'm seeing a long wick there and a long wick there, and a bit of an indecision candle here. So I'm not convinced that that's going to continue on its way down. But as a trading assistant, it's saying we're not getting in that because we're still above the green trend line. So let's look at another pair. See if we can find a pair that doesn't have that glitch. You see that was the high point on this pair, and it's looked left, and it's gone way back. So that appears to be correct to me. Yeah, that's correct. It's look for the nearest higher candle. So those trend lines are correct. We're just looking at Euro USD, which is an anomaly. So looking at this one.
Is the red one correct though?
Technically, I guess it's not, but it actually is, because that would be the nearest low. And
okay. Mine looks the same as yours, but it's so hard to tell which candle it's looking at.
Yeah, well, it's looking at the one. It's starting at the 1 o'clock, which is the problem. But
yeah,
even if it went to the nearest low, it would be roughly in that direction.
Yeah,
we definitely we're okay because we're below the green. We're below the red and below the green. So we're definitely looking for a sell. That's correct. We've got this 200 in the way because the price is likely to move over it. But I need to start thinking how the trading assistant's thinking. I'm below the red trend line, so I'm looking for a sell. I've had a recent wave. It changed from green to red. So a recent wave, number 2 box is ticked. The third one is not ticked because the yellow hasn't crossed over the white. The fourth one is ticked because it's saying short. But the reason it's not getting in for a sell on my chart is because I've told it not to get in unless there's been a recent crossover of the moving averages. And you can see that the latest crossover was way back here. But the trading assistant will not get in. It'll wait until that crosses over, until the yellow line crosses over the white line. Now that would make it quite a safe trade. And that's why I've put my settings on, I think it's the last 12 candles for the crossover. That's way too far in the distance. And this is just ratifying my policy, if you like, because it looked like it was going to be a sell. Everything else was telling me it was a sell, and then it's hit the 200 moving average. So basically, that the moving average is keeping me out of a trade that would have gone wrong. If it had got me in for a sell at any point here, it's reversing and it would have taken me out, depending on stop loss and so on. But so that's why I have the moving average as one of my criteria, because it will keep you out of less certain trades. And in that case, the 200 was in the way. We need the yellow 13 moving average to cross over for us to be definitely in a sell. If you think about when I traded manually, I used to use an indicator that had it would put a colored cloud in between the two moving averages, and that would be a green cloud because the 13 is still above the 200, and therefore the general trend is up. The recent trend is down, but the general trend is up. And until it goes back below that 200, my cloud wouldn't have changed to a red cloud. So if you want all the ducks in a row, you've got to wait for that to cross over the white 200. Let's have a different pair. Okay, so it's done the same there. The green trend line has started itself on that candle, but again, if it had done it correctly, it would have done it from the top of that candle, and it would have looked. So we're roughly in the right area. We're not. It's just that first one that was massively out, and the low point looks good. Okay, so we can trust those. So we're above the green trend line, so we're looking for.
I think the problem with that one is the spread, isn't it? It is on mine.
Yeah, well, the spread on Eurocard on mine is one pip, just under 1 pip.
Oh, I thought weren't you on GBP CAD a second ago?
I can.
I thought you were, maybe not.
I think I was talking about GBP USD, but I'll look at GBP card. GBP card, we're talking about a sell signal. That's because we're below the red. We're also below the green, but that's by the way. So
yeah.
That's not strictly accurate. We're going to need to get this sorted out. If it was looking for nearer, it would be sort of in that. The line would be less steep. It would be going across. We would still be below the red. So let's take it as we're looking for a sell because we're below the red. The price is just, even if the line was sort of like that, it would be below the red and be below the green. So we're correct in that we're looking for a sell. We're correct in that we've had a recent change of wave from green to red. The thing that's missing is, well, two things are missing. One is the crossover hasn't occurred yet. And two, this is telling me to keep out. It's actually saying no trade on the WAE. So basically, we need the crossover to occur. Let's go back to that Eurocard. Okay, so yeah, the crossover, there was no crossover there. The latest crossover was way back. Way back. So I do occasionally override the crossover if I think that everything else is in a row. So let's just have a, we're below the red trend line, so we should be looking for a sell. We have had a recent wave change from green to red. So that's two things. We're missing the moving average, but what does the what it had to say? It says keep out because the sellers is kind of backing off a little bit. Now it may be that this green trend line is giving us, oh no, sorry, we've already gone past the green trend line. So we just need to be certain. We need this water atta to change to short, and then we could potentially get in for, or I could, you know, under my rules, I could get in for a sell. However, if I'm going away from the trading assistant, I need to consider what's actually going on. We've got long wicks, and that is a bit of an indecision candle. So is it definitely going to go down or not? I'm going to do something here that I probably shouldn't be doing, but I'm going to go on my MT5 on the phone. I'm going to take a sell trade. And let's just see what happens. Euro card. Okay, so I'm on Euro card. I want to trade. What's my lot size? I'm going to work off that lot size 1704. And I'm going to go in for a sell. So I've done it on my phone, but it's got me in on this chart. That's my entry point. I need to set my stop loss. And I do this on the phone. So stop loss would have to be uh, 49764. 49764. Okay, so there's my stop loss. Sorry, say again. So there's my stop loss, and it just need to put my take profit in now. So take profit will be under 4972 4966 4964 4966. Okay, so I've now got my take profit there. I'm just doing this for out of interest. That is that's my entry point. That's my target. My lot size is already there, and I'm currently 1.2 pips up. The reason I got in there was actually I probably shouldn't have gone in there because me, but never mind, we're in it now. I just need to make a note about that thing we need to sort out with Oliver. Okay, so This is obviously if you're gonna leave the trading assistant running whilst you go out to work, you can't do this. But this is something that I sometimes do when I can see an opportunity. Maybe we would have been better if we'd got in earlier, but it's can you see what's happening down here? This water atta is the explosion line is pointing back downwards, so that's not a good time to get in. It might recover. It's going in the wrong direction now.
If it goes back north of the green line, would you get out like right now?
Yeah, if I was trading, well, it's just taking me out.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, what I would have done if I'd actually got in at that point, and then we had these two green candles, I would have just taken it out for the loss. But that's not a good position to be in, and not one that I would do if I was trading live money, real money. But I'm trying to demonstrate for the benefit of anybody who's watching the replay that this is how it works. So you've got a red arrow there indicating where I got in. It's got a blue arrow there indicating where it took me out. So that was 4 pips. So I'm just going to quickly look at the other pairs and see if I can spot anything. Then I'll look at the settings, and I'm just about ready to publish my. I'm going to say final setting. It probably won't be final, but the ones that I'm using now. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I'm aware that my green trend line should be up there rather than down there, but we are below the red trend line. So I'm looking for the reason it's saying buy signals is because it's reading this as being above the green, but it's not. Price isn't above the green trend line in actual fact. But what we've got here right now is consolidation. The red Heiken-Ashi candles are getting weaker and weaker. They're getting smaller and smaller. So we're in a situation where price might stall and or reverse. We haven't had a recent MA crossover, and the water atta is saying keep out. So there's nothing going on there, even though we have had a price, a reasonable price drop, but it's not, that drop is not going to last because it's the Heiken-Ashi candles have got smaller and smaller, and actually there's now a green one there. So that's not looking favorable. If you just look at that section there, that's consolidation. Price is not going anywhere. So that was Euro, USD. I'll look at all 4 now. I'll look at the settings. Now we decided that was in the correct place, and that is in the correct place as well. So what we're waiting for here is an MA crossover. Okay, so basically we're just waiting for an MA crossover. We've had the wave change, and that occurred 13.27. Well, it's about 20 candles in the past, so that may well keep us out. But I've got a feeling, you see the white line is leveling out. The white line was rising, it's now leveling out. So there's probably not going to be a lot of movement. Price has gone below the white 200 moving average, and then it's changed direction. and even the 13 has changed direction. So that's possibly not going to go any further down. And the water atta is definitely telling me to keep out. No, that was one we just did a dodgy trade on. But what I'm seeing is, if those lines are still accurate, then we're sort of we call it no man's land when price is in between the green and the red before the crossover. Not quite sure what we should call this after the crossover, but what is probably going to happen is that price is going to find resistance when it gets to that red trend line, and then if it gets past that, it'll find further resistance there. I'm in manual trading mode at the minute because there's not much going on, but in my head, I should say. But the water atta is telling me to keep out. I don't really don't need to look any further than that. When that explosion line points downwards, you definitely want to keep out. Bit of consolidation going on as well.
I just want to ask you about, the trade this morning, the one that lost, the Euro USD.
Yeah.
Just curious on something with that, because that's not one of the normal 4 pairs in the morning. You just keep an eye on it. You know how we've given it like 3 hours, 6 till 9.
Yeah.
Paul's view is that most of the, something there's like he sort of looks at between 7 and 9.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that do you think it's worth waiting an extra hour and starting that one at 7?
Yeah, if you feel more comfortable doing it. I mean, I've always I've always kept an eye on Euro USD whenever I'm on the charts, and I'm always on the charts at 6 in the morning. So that's just my way of doing things. But if you feel safer leaving it until 7. But did you notice that it was actually the 7 o'clock candle that took me out? And it was the 7 o'clock move, which often occurs, very often occurs on Euro USD and some other pairs, and it was actually that 7 o'clock candle that wiped me out.
Yeah, I think it did the same with me.
Yeah,
I think mine was about the same, I think.
yeah. Well, it would have been because it was looking like it would be a sell, and then we hit 7 o'clock, and the price just suddenly went all the way up there.
Yeah.
Just took out everybody's stop losses. But that's price manipulation. That's we talk about that a lot. You sitting here looking at the chart thinking this is going to go down for a sell, and all of a sudden they whack it up and bring it back down again. They just take everybody's stop losses, and it seems to be a common thing. But I mean, the decision whether to start at 6 or 7 is.
It's only for the Euro USD one, not for the others. The others at 6, yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Although having said that, I have had quite a few successful trades before 7 o'clock. It was just one of those things this morning. I mean, you couldn't have done anything. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't done anything silly like I've just done on this. What was it on this? That pair there. I mean, that was a silly thing for me to do, but I was just trying to demonstrate how the system works for anybody who's watching for the first time or you. So there's nothing going on right now. I can't see anything likely to give us a trade. So for some reason, my charts have moved to one side here. I don't know what's going on at the minute. Oh, here we go. There we go. That was because I had this switched on. So if I'm just sort of doing a little bit of thinking out loud, I'm waiting for the best potential trade right now is this GBP USD, where if this moving average, the 13 moving average, crosses over the 200 moving average, we could well be we'll definitely start looking for a cell. We need the water atta to change dramatically, but the water atta can change quite dramatically. So we'll keep an eye on GBP USD. What time is it? It's 7 minutes to 2 in the UK. 2 o'clock can be a time when prices make a move. That's the favourite one at the minute. If that one goes up above, the yellow goes above the white, we might be looking at a buy. We're waiting for this to cross over. That one has crossed over way back. That's not going to happen. So let's take a look at my settings. GBP USD, GBP CAD and Euro CAD are all identical settings. So if I go to expert lists and just quickly talk me through my, so those 3 pairs are all on the same setting. So I'm risking 0.5% and I'm looking for 1 to 2. So I'm trying to make 1% if we win, and lose 0.5% if I lose. I'm looking at stop loss of 4 pips. I've actually typed in there 8 pips. It doesn't matter what I type in there because the risk to reward overrides whatever is in there. As it happens, it's 1 to 2, so 4 pip stop loss equals 8 pips take profit. I've got a unique magic number for all of these 4 pairs. I've called it Richard's Crossfire, afternoon crossfire. I've moved the chart to the left to 36, and I wanted to send an alert when a trade is placed. I want a maximum of 2 pips spread. If it goes above 2 pips, I don't want the assistant to take a trade. It's unlikely to go above 2 on these 3 pairs, well, all 4 pairs in the afternoon session. But I do like to limit the spread just in case something crazy goes on and it goes up to 3 or 4 pips. So I'm limiting my spread, or I'm limiting my trades to those where the spread is 2 or less. I want the trading assistant to lump all of these 4 pairs together in one basket. So I've toggled that to true, and that means that 0.5% per pair potential loss becomes 2% total, and my total well, I wanted to stop taking trades once it's got to 6% for the day or for the session. Ignore the partial close settings. I don't look at those. I've got my new settings. I've changed them recently. I've got true and 5 minutes and 5 minutes, but only on high impact news settings. High impact news, I should say. So you can change yours if you want to moderate, low, or none, but I've got mine on high. This is the bit that some people get confused. The number of bars to look back on. This may be where we've got a bit of an issue where Helen's is different to mine. I'm not sure whether you've got your set for 900, Helen, or whether it's one of these settings.
Oh, mine look exactly the same as yours. To be honest, Richard, mine are all loaded with your set, your PM set.
Right, okay.
So in theory, they should be the same, and they are.
It might. You remember I said I've got this glitch with my broker where he's working an hour behind me. That's not supposed to happen. So maybe if I just change the broker, that might rectify that. But anyway, 900, and for the benefit of anybody who's new, the reasoning behind that is we look back to the start of today's session. But today's session, if you're in the UK, started at 10 p.m. last night. That was the opening of the Asian session for Tuesday. So I needed to look back 900 bars or 900 minutes to get to get a nearer high and a nearer low. But the nearest high or the nearest low. But if it's beyond the 900, then I want it to draw a horizontal line. I wanted to trade for 180 minutes from the start, and the start. You see, this is, I've had to change this to 12. You would need that to 13. On any other broker, that would need to be 13. Just for me to get my vertical lines drawn in the correct place, I've got to ask it to start looking at 12. So on your set, you would need 13 if you're in the UK. No Sunday trading. I've recently I've my exit. I've got TP only. You can toggle that. You could get a drop down menu and change it to. You can ask it to take you out when the Icanashi changes color. That is one way of reducing your losses. But sometimes it takes you out, and then price goes back in your direction, and you don't make as much money. That's a crucial one. The smoothing period, I've got mine set for 13. What else? I've got the FVG. You've got to take them down to 0, otherwise you'll end up with an FVG on your chart, but the trading assistant will totally ignore them. The same with the HMA settings; it'll totally ignore anything HMA if it doesn't use the HMA. What it does use is the MA crossover, and in order to get the 2MA to work, you've got to have the 3MA switch to true as well. And I've asked it to look back to 12 candles. So I'm saying if there's a crossover of the moving average within the last 12 candles, then take notice of that. If it's prior to 12 candles or further back than 12 candles, just ignore it. Don't take it. My moving averages are 13 and 200. But you need both of those. You need the slow, well, 200 is a slow one, 13 is a fast one, but you need the middle one to also be 200. Otherwise, it confuses the trading assistant. And I don't think I've changed anything below that. But the important thing is, these start at 1300 if you're in the UK. It'll be 8 or 800 if you're in New York time. But you still need that 900. Wherever in the world you are, there's 900 minutes from the start of the Asian session. And on the afternoon sessions, I've lumped all these three together on those settings, but on the Euro USD, the only thing I've changed is the stop loss. I've made it 3 and 6, and everything else is the same as it was on the previous chart. So that's my settings for the afternoon session. The morning session, I'll just really quickly show you that. I'm just looking to see if there's anything happening. Okay, so here we've got, right, so we're below the red trend line, so we're looking for sells. But price is actually moving upwards. Prices change from red to green, so that's not in agreement with. The trading assistant is only looking for sells. It needs to get above that, and that's reasonably accurate. Even if that was extended down, it would still be quite a steep. So yeah, I thought there might be something going on here, but we've had a recent MA crossover we've had a recent wave change crossover, and the water atta is not quite there yet, but it's still saying no trade. But in a minute, on the next candle, it'll probably say buy. I'm not going to do what I just did and take a punt on a buy there, but we'll keep an eye on that and see if it. But because we're below the red, it's only looking for sells. So it's not a good day for the Crossfire trading assistant. So let's have a look at the other. I'm going to do a video. It'll have to be tomorrow now, but on how to get the chart, all 4 charts in one place, all looking alike, and so on, and how to use these profiles to get your 5 charts in the morning and 4 charts in the afternoon. But I'm now looking. Algo trading is switched off because I don't want to trade any of these pairs. Therefore, I've got the white. The hats are all white, so there's nothing likely to happen on these 4 pairs. But if I go to Euro USD as an example, because we just looked at Euro USD on the other chart, it's all exactly the same settings in terms of stop loss. The only difference is the look back bars. So in the morning at 6 a.m. UK time, we only need to look back 480 bars rather than 900. And I've just done this, so this is correct. Starting at 6 in the morning, looking back 8 hours to the start of today's session, and that's the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same. Now remember, we've got a stop loss on here of 3 pips. If you look at the 2 New Zealand dollar pairs, I've got 5 pip stop loss. 5. Everything else is the same. And the 2 Aussie dollar pairs, I've got 4 pip stop loss, I believe. Yeah, 4 pip stop loss. So you've got 3 different settings on the morning session. You've got a 3 pip stop loss on Euro USD. You've got a 4 pip stop loss on the Aussie dollar pairs, and you've got a 5 pip stop loss on the New Zealand dollar pairs. But other than the stop loss, everything else on those 5 charts could be the same. And
so you're using Euro USD on both sessions then?
yeah, it's not strictly a crossfire pair, because the crossfire is all to do with the closing of the Asian market and the opening of the London market. And in the afternoon session, it's to do with the opening of the US market, whilst the London market is already open. And that's what crossfire is all about. It's the handover or the changeover and the price manipulation that goes on. But so those 4 pairs are the 4 true crossfire pairs. What I've found, though, is that if I apply the crossfire strategy to Euro USD in the morning, there is very often a move during that. Well, Paul would say the 2-hour period between 7 and 9. But because I'm doing crossfire, I'm starting to look at the charts at 6 a.m. UK time.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm also looking for trades on Euro USD using the crossfire strategy, although it's not actually a crossfire pair, but it does seem to work. It worked yesterday. It worked. It didn't work this morning because there was a trade went against the. I wonder if I can show you that trade. If I.
Hey, Richard, when you get a chance, could you one more time real quick go over what the stop losses are on the morning session, as well as the pips for the spread?
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. I'm trying to find. I would need to find 6 o'clock now on this chart. But yeah, there we go. I'm on the 1 minute chart. I'm on Euro USD. I got into the trade. Where is it? This is where it took me out. So I got in for a sell round about here, but the arrows disappeared for some reason. I thought it was when the MA crossover occurred there. Let's just say what we see. We were below the red trend line, so we're looking for a sell. We're looking for a recent wave change. Well, it changed from green to red here, certainly by there, and then we had the MA crossover. So all 3 of those ducks were in a row. And looking down here, this has changed since. But this was, yeah, maybe that's why I think Gary said he got into that as well. But if I'd seen that, if there was the explosion line on this chart is a blue line, and it's not above the dead zone line, so that really wouldn't have helped. Let me just. Oh no, we're looking here. We're looking here. This is the point, isn't it? There's my. No, I'm getting very confused now. Anyway, it shot up. Right, that was it. It shot up and it took me out. And I'd done, the trading assistant had done nothing wrong, because I'm pretty sure that at the time this was looking slightly different to what it looks now. Right, so I'll go over the stop loss pips, and in fact, if I can, yeah, I'll go over the stop loss pips. I'll go over this second. So I'm on Euro USD. So this is my morning setup, and I'm looking at Euro USD down here. And if I look at my stop loss, I'm using 3 pips. 3 pips stop loss, 6 pips stop take profit. I'm risking 0.5% to make 1%. Because Euro USD has got the lowest broker spread of all the trades. That's why I get away with a 3 pip stop loss. If I then look at the Aussie dollar pairs, I go for a 4 pip stop loss, and it would be an 8 pip take profit, but well, I can change that. It doesn't matter what I type in there, because I'm going for 1 for 2. So if my stop loss is 4, my take profit is automatically 8. So Euro US is 3, the Aussie dollar pairs are 4, the New Zealand dollars are 5. So 5 pip stop loss, 10 pip stop take profit. So 3, 4, and 5 on the morning session. I'm gonna send these out. Maybe not this afternoon, because I've got to go somewhere, but I'll send these out. I've now settled on these settings. So if I go to PM profile, Euro USD remains at 3. The other 3 pairs are 4.
Yeah.
And I'll just show you something.
Richard, on the pips for the stop loss, would you recommend, like, if for instance, on our broker, if the New Zealand pairs are constantly running above 2, my New Zealand pairs will typically run 2.5, 2.6. So with that being said, it would never qualify with a max spread of 2. Would you recommend increasing that to a 3 and then maybe just adding a pip to the stop loss, or what would you recommend there?
Personally, I wouldn't recommend that, and I'll explain why. So I'm just going to close this because these 3 pairs are all on 4. So we've done all the stop losses. Now, if you look at your go back to defaults, I've got these are the 2 New Zealand dollar pairs, and you can see that currently the 20, 21, 22, so that's 2.2 pips. They're constantly, no, constantly is the wrong word. They generally stay round about 21, 22, 23. In the morning, they can be even higher. They can go up as high as 3 pips. I don't want my trading assistant to get me in a trade where, let's say, even if I've got, well, as you can see, I'm setting a stop loss of 5 pips. So I'm giving it wriggle room. But the way I see it is, if my stop loss is 5 pips and my broker is going to take away the first 2.5 pips in broker spread, then I've only got 2.5 pips wriggle room. And I'm not happy in that situation because it can take me out fairly rapidly. It only needs a small movement in the wrong direction and you've lost the trade. I really don't want the trading assistant to get me into those trades. I would rather stay out of them. If there are occasions when the New Zealand dollar pairs, you see, they're now below 2, and they sometimes come down as low as 13, 14. I'm happy to get in a trade right now, but if it goes to 2.5 pips, I just don't want to know. They're going to take too much money off me, and the reason for that is, and I can hear what Paul was saying yesterday in the back of my head. How many trades do you need? I personally only need 1 trade a day to make my target. The reason why I'm looking at 5 charts in the morning and 4 charts in the afternoon is for you guys. You know, to be able to do a demonstration every day or twice a week, I need to look at all 9 of those charts. I don't want to trade all of those 9 charts. I need 1 trade per day, 5 days a week, and I'm perfectly happy. And I don't want to take iffy trades where the broker is going to take half of my profit. And that's just me being. I'm just trying to simplify it, you know. Well, yesterday I took 5 trades. Was it 5 or 4? I certainly I took four trades and I lost 1 of them. Now, I wouldn't have lost that one if I was trading for my benefit, because having won the first trade and then won a second trade, I would have simply stopped trading for the day. Because if I'm on $100,000 account and I'm making 1% twice, I've made 2%. I've made $2,000. Why do I want to continue trading? And I certainly don't want to take trades with New Zealand dollar if the broker is going to take half of my stop loss away with his spread.
If you make your 1% in the morning, are you going to leave it until the following day then?
Oh yes, but for me trading live, yeah. If I make 1% a day, I'm walking away. Why would I want? It's like, well, it's probably the wrong example to use, but it probably make the point. if you stay at the roulette table in a casino, the longer you stay at the roulette table, the bigger the chances of you losing. You want to be away from that table as soon as you've won. I mean, I know it's not the same. We're not gambling. We're stacking probabilities and all that kind of thing. But why? Can anybody explain to me why, if I've made $1,000 before 7 o'clock in the morning, why would I want to trade? And if I can make $1,000 a day, 20 days every month or whatever, then there's no point. I don't want to look for 25 different trades a day. I want to look for one trade a day. And it needs to be the right trade.
And if hypothetically those two, you lose 2 trades and like lose 1% in the morning, you'll just let the afternoon run to see if you can get that back and make the 1% still.
If I lose in the morning, I'll try again in the, yeah, by all means. No, I don't want to. I don't want to risk too much in one day, and B, I don't want to risk losing what I've made. So if I just have a target with whatever number there is on your trading account. I want to make 1%. Now I can change that because I could. Whereas in come back to this afternoon session just to keep an eye on them. Let's say I took a trade here. It's above the green, so I'm looking for a buy. We've had a recent wave change. We've had a recent MA crossover change. The only thing that's stopping me getting in is the Wada Atta. Now, if this Wada Atta changes, if it changes fairly quickly, which it can easily do, it's going to make these white, so you can see.
How does it keep doubling up on some of the indicators?
Yes, every time you load them up, it'll put some extra indicators on. So all I need is I need show pips, which is this one here. Yeah. I need the 2 moving averages, and I need the Heikin-Ashi smooth. That's all I need on my charts. And the Wada Atta, I need that as well. So I just double check every day before I start trading. I check that I haven't got too many. Now this may well change in the next candle, and then we will be looking for a buy. We might actually see, before we leave this session, we might actually see us get into a buy. Now I made a loss this morning because I lost a 0.5%. So I'm keen to at least take one winning trade this afternoon. But if I take one winning trade, again, I'll stop trading. I don't want to be greedy. I made, if I'd been trading those 4 pairs yesterday that I traded on a demo account, if I traded those for real, I would have made $3,000. I don't want to be greedy. I'm perfectly happy with $3,000 a day. Just going to see if this, because if this Wada Atta changes, it'll put me in a trade. If it gets stronger, it looks like it's getting weaker, but it can change. Can I ask? Am I making sense when I say I only want to make 1,000 a day? Does it? Because,
yeah, complete sense, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, we see so many people come along and they're taking trade after trade after trade after trade. And in my eyes, if you've made it, if you've had a successful trade, just call it a day. Get on with life. Spend your money, whatever, But don't be obsessed by making. You don't need to have. You don't need to win every trade. You don't need to win every pair. The reason why I only trade Crossfire is because I just like things simple. And I just look for one trade a day. And more often than not, I get one successful trade a day. And that's me done. Job finished. And sorry, I was going to make a point here. If I was confident with this, 100% confident that every day when I came to look for a trade, I was going to have a winning trade, I could double up. I could start risking 1% to make 2%, and therefore I'd have $2,000 a day, and I would do that on one trade. In my ideal world, I don't need to take 20 different trades. I just want one trade, and I want it to be a good trade, and that's why we've got the most boxes to tick on Crossfire than any of the trading assistants, and that's because I'm super cautious. So I say, okay, I want to be above the green trend line, therefore I'm looking for a buy. I want a recent. The reason I want a recent wave change is because it's more effective. If the wave change was way back here, it's not as likely to continue in that upward direction. You need it to be fairly recent. You need the MA cross to be fairly recent to be effective. And can you see how the first three, well, let's talk about that. The first three ducks are all lined up. We're above the green trend line. We've got a recent wave change, and we've got a recent MA crossover. 3 of our 4 ducks are lined up perfectly. This is keeping me out. This water atta is one of the best things I've discovered. Well, I didn't discover it, but I found it to be the best indicator, the most effective indicator. It keeps me out of trades when I shouldn't be getting in. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to get in here because those 3 ducks are all lined up. But this is saying, no, don't be that. Stay out. If it was like that, then fair enough. But it's not. It's pointing in the wrong direction. So all I do is I just say, okay, I can wait. I don't mind if I don't take a trade this afternoon. I'm not desperate to take a trade. And I believe me, I have taken lots and lots of trades that I should not have taken. And I've learned the hard way. And now I play everything as safely as possible. And I would not take that trade as it's standing at the minute. And there's your reason why, because it's going in the wrong direction. You might have been tempted to get in when you had that crossover, but that's why you shouldn't have got in. The water atta is giving me all the information I need. The white line is pointing downwards. I don't need to look any further. That is telling me keep out. So the trading assistant is thinking, well, I know it doesn't think, but it's the logic is my logic, and my logic is keep out of that trade. Even though 3 of the 4 ducks are lined up, I'm not going to get into it. I can wait another day. Okay, I've gone on way too long. Thanks for jumping on. I shall be back on Thursday at 1 o'clock. And in the meantime, I'm going to publish the settings. I'll put them in the trade chat. But I'm also, I'll put them in there's a spreadsheet in there. I'll put them in there as well. But I'm pretty confident that the settings that I've got are okay. We just need to iron out that weird difference between Helen's line and my line.
Yeah, pretty much all of mine were different to yours, Richard. And I'm not saying mine were right, but they were different.
Well, that's enough to send it back to Oliver. give him some homework. He'll sort it. Don't worry, he'll sort it. Everything I've asked him for on this trading assistant, he's been able to do it without any issues. So, okay, I'm going to call it a day. I'm running late, and I shall see you on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thanks very much.
Thank-
Not a problem.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.